What that the attack on Kiev, using tanks, infantry, fighting vehicles, helicopters and planes, have to do with defense of Donbass?
I can't answer this question. In my opinion, the task was to protect Lugansk, Donetsk, and if that was the task, that they would have just stood there, but I don't know why they would launch a full-scale attack like this.
Doesn't it look like they were just planning to take over Ukraine entirely? Well, Kiev in particular.
I think Russia would not occupy the territory of Ukraine. They say that Russia wants to completely occupy Ukraine and take it for itself. I think that when they went to Kiev, the plan was that your government would chicken out and accept all of Russians' demands. This is probably how they wanted to scare you. But then the troops left. They waited for 3 days and left on the 4th.
Came out? The dead don't walk.
Well, I must say that there were battles there. They can be considered battles, and then they left.
Some left and ran away.
And the other part?
Almost 100,000 of your regular army died there.
Did 100,000 come to Kiev?
In total, 200,000 of the primary group entered in all directions.
Well, I haven't heard anything like that about seizing power. Well, actually, I don't know. It was in all directions. We also showed this. Well, in any case, we also showed that they went everywhere. Well, there was no task about the occupation of Ukraine. I haven't heard anything like that at all about the occupation.
Well, because the Russian army was driving out from Kiev. That's why it wasn't possible to occupy it. Why occupy all of Ukraine if it is enough to seize power in Kiev?
You think that Russia would go to Kiev and change the government?
So?
Ukraine would have remained as it was. It would already be a puppet state, it turned out.
Well,
yes,
puppet
power.
Or a puppet state. I don't know how they would have decided it. It is impossible to know the thoughts of these schizophrenics. Personally, I consider them schizophrenics, because this is an absolutely schizophrenic decision. And the only way to justify this is that they believe that they could do it. Moreover, your soldiers who were going to Kiev had provisions for exactly 3-4 days. That they believed that in 3-4 days, a week at most, and that's it, the government would fall.
Well, when we arrived at the war, the soldiers told us that if Russia had attacked Ukraine in 2014, they would not have been able to put up such a fight as they are now, because the army wasn't very well prepared back then.
Well, maybe.
Well, I think that in our time we were also not prepared in any way essentially. I think that if something like that had happened, Russia would have acted more actively in general, because as you recall on TV they only showed us that the DPR, LPR People's Militia, that's what we call them, that there were shootouts with the soldiers from the Ukrainian armed forces. The fact that there are constant attack has been showed for 8 years. The fact that, in a sense, the border was the same. The fact that there are also constant shootouts.
Well, yes. In fact, the conflict there has essentially frozen over the last 3 years. Then the Russian army entered and began the defense. After this fake defense, a quarter of Donbass was simply destroyed, wiped off the face of the earth. Look at Marinka, look at Mariupol, look at Bakhmut. These cities simply do not exist. These are beautiful, blooming cities. They were wonderful in 2014 and right up until 2019. I was there in Mariupol in particular before the full-scale invasion. I was in Bakhmut after the invasion. The city was still alive, and now the cities no longer exist. All of these are ghost towns. Well, they built a couple of pseudo districts, supposedly in Mariupol, in order to constantly show the same picture that the city is being restored. But the people of Mariupol don't quite agree with what you, the occupiers, are saying. So what kind of protection is this? And I say again, this city is a part of Ukraine. lived well. And then when part of Donbass was already occupied, the part that was still under Ukraine, these cities lived well. No one oppressed anyone. No repression. Everything is fine. So how can one justify Russia's desire to attack these regions? I'm not even talking about all of Ukraine and Kyiv, to attack these regions. How can this be justified?
The fighting continues. Your troops are defending, ours are shooting and going.
You are talking about what is actually happening. There is no need to talk about this. It is already clear. I say, how can this be justified? Justified with what?
In war, there is only one thing: combat operation, that's all. Because they came in, he's coming, and that's it, they should go. How else can this be justified?
So why enter someone else's territory? Why invade other countries? For 30 years we somehow lived peacefully. Less. If we start counting from Crimea, then 24 years. We lived normally. It seemed that everyone went to Crimea, vacationed and so on. Russian, Ukrainians, and people from neighboring countries. And the prices there were lower and there was more freedom there. It seemed like everyone was happy with everything. Lately I haven't noticed that life in Crimea has improved much. I haven't noticed that there are more resorts or more vacationers or that life has been more comfortable for the locals. There is not such data at all.
A friend of mine went on holiday to Crimea. What happened then and now is almost the same. Nothing has changed.
Depending on the location, of course. In some locations you arrived and it's as if nothing has changed at all. Fine. So why did you capture anything?
I wasn't interested in Crimea. I was 15, 16 years old.
I get it. I'm trying to understand how the average Russian soldier justified his presence and participation in the war. Why in particular did you end up there?
Me personally?
Yes.
Donetsk, Lugansk asked for help. What started happening there forced me to go and help. The president said that we need to liberate the LPR
Oh
and
my
DPR.
God. And your president also announced denazification. What is this? We've already talked about Donetsk and Lugansk. Let's go back to the old record. Denazification.
As I remember, these are just games for changing power.
No. No. What does denazification have to do with it before a complete change of power? Do you understand the term? It's like fighting Nazis. Destruction of the Nazis.
Mistaken.
Denazification.
What happened, what was shown in 2018?
What?
What was shown? The same thing in Donetsk and Lugansk. Regularly speaking, this was Ukrainian territory. That May 9 is a Memorial Day. And we celebrate Victory Day.
And what?
When people went out on May 9th.
I can tell you that this is complete nonsense. Memorial Day, May 8. And May 9 is the day of victory over Nazism in World War II.
Yes.
And I can explain and prove to you that this name is much more correct than victory in the Great Patriotic War. Because this war was not patriotic, it was truly a world war. You can find out. I can give it to you to read now, so that you understand that what you said is no longer true. We celebrate Victory Day over Nazism in World War II on May 9. And this is a public holiday. This is a day off. Further.
It is considered a day off, May 9th?
Yes, it's a day off. Counts. Look. May 9 in Ukraine. I can't find the information in Russian, but since you already know a little, you can at least read these letters.
Can?
Yes, please.
3945. May 9, Victory Day over World Nazism. This holiday was founded in 2005. 3945.
What? Well, yes, in 1939, the war began in 39.
How did it translate this year? This
What?
is it. 3 go.
Since 2016, the day off has replaced the Soviet holiday Victory Day, which was celebrated in the Soviet Union,
Oh,
USSR, the USSR.
got it. A symbol of memory.
What next? Does this make us Nazis?
No.
Well, you just started with this. Next.
This is how I remember it. People also came out to the parade.
Yeah.
We also showed it on TV with a ribbon for Victory Day that they put on.
No. The Victory Ribbon is the so-called St. George's Ribbon,
Yes, so-called.
which appeared in Russia in 2015. Before 2015, few people used it at all. In 2015, some activists decided to use this ribbon to make it a symbol of your national pride. And since then, everyone has been running around with it like crazy, also since 2015. But in general, what is this ribbon?
I was talking about the
Do you know
black
the
and
history?
yellow one.
Yes, black and orange.
No, the black and orange one is from the Russian Empire, and the black and yellow one was, I don't remember what the ribbon is called correctly. Well, we get it mixed up. There is the St. George ribbon, which was in the Russian Empire,
Yeah.
because by the way the Vlasovets wore it. It's also tape. It was specifically Soviet.
The thing is that they look absolutely identical. The color
Well,
scheme is
that's-
absolutely identical.
Well, that's where they have a difference, but there they kind of confuse things and start talking the black and orange one.
It is not
It's
different
not much
at all.
different.
What they wear in Russia now and what is called the St. George ribbon should be called the Guards ribbon. Why? You know?
Why?
Because the medal of St. George, which came with a ribbon, was abolished in the Soviet army. And it was precisely the Vlasovets who wore the St. George ribbon.
I say that the ribbon comes from the Russian Empire. I didn't say that.
So why
And
then?
the Vlasovets wore the ribbon as a
Yeah,
protest against Soviet
yeah.
power.
Yeah, they inherited the principles of the Russian Empire.
Yes, they were against the Soviet power. That's why they
Yes,
wore the
then-
ribbon.
Why do you know called the ribbon St. George's?
That's what I'm saying, that our people often confuse them. They wore it and they wear it, but don't think about it. They just put it on without thinking, and that's it.
I understood that you're an educated person and understand the difference in the symbols. You understand this. It seems to me... What do you have? Does something hurt?
My stomach just hurt.
Did you eat something wrong?
Cabbage usually gives me stomach pain.
From cabbage.
Yes.
You have a complex diet and you could just not eat salad. No one is forcing you. It's really some kind of Nazism to feed prisoners in camp like that. I'm shocked. Do you get parcels delivered? Do you get a salary? Is there a store where you can buy something for this salary? Do you get presents? They feed you 3 times a day. At each meal, at least I saw 3 dishes given yesterday.
Soup, porridge, salad.
Yes, and we are talking about ours. We know nothing about the prisoners who are in Russia. At all. There is no information about them, except that they are being abused there. Because you have the Red Cross here and it monitors all the conditions and they send reports to the UN about how well you're in captivity. But in Russia there is simply no such thing, because the Red Cross is simply not allowed there. Let me remind you that it was you who invaded us, not us who invaded you. And you are here in our captivity according to all international conventions. Nobody is discriminating against you here. Do you understand the difference? So what do you say about Nazism? We stopped at denazification.
They say that there is a presence of Russian speakers in Ukraine. In Russia, similar stories were often told. I think you have heard them too.
Of course, I heard. We have Kharkiv, Dnieper, that was a predominantly Russian-speaking city, and it remained so. No one oppressed anyone there. But for the last year and a half, for some reason, Russian missiles have been flying to Kharkiv. It is also a defense of Russian speakers. And missiles are flying to Dnipro. Just in Kharkiv, several districts were destroyed, simply erased. It is also a defense of Russian speakers, or how should this be understood?
Well, combat action, I think.
Combat operations, I understand.
I don't think Russia did it just like that they just decided to wipe out an entire section of the city. Just like that. I saw the missiles.
Just like that. If not just like that, then just how? Well, why was it necessary to destroy the northern Saltovka district in Kharkiv? For what purpose? Just like that? Or not just like that?
I can't even answer. Really, why then? Many civilians are killed by missiles. Well, we watch the news. What they show is an arrival. There's 2 rockets destroyed the 2nd floor of a building. Well, honestly, I don't understand this at all. How is it that they say that military facilities and soldiers are being attacked, but in fact civilians and children are being killed? How is this possible?
What does it look like?
Well, here I don't understand the trajectory of the missile. Someone is guiding it. For what purpose? What else can you call it?
Or maybe no one is simply guiding it, or more precisely, the guiding doesn't work. Maybe it's being directed at infrastructure, but for some reason it flies into a residential building. Hypersonic missiles, daggers. Your propaganda say that these missiles are elusive, but we shoot them down. This was shouted in Russia by Russian propagandists. They are strange people in general. At first they say that Ukraine was easy to defeat, that Ukraine could be easily captured in just 2 days. But it didn't work out. Then they say that your aviation would fly in and destroy everything. Your pilots are sitting here in captivity now. We shot down many, and only a few were lucky to survive. Most of them are dead. It didn't work out with the Air Force. Then all the hopes of the Russian Federation were on these damned daggers and calibers, that with this you will definitely wipe out Ukraine. But all these missiles are shut down. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you're attacking residential buildings. Yes, it's a big problem, but you won't succeed. Well, you won't be able to capture Ukraine and force it to capitulate with the help of these missiles. What next? And they fly to Kharkiv, specifically for a reason. And they fly to Lviv for no reason, and to other cities for no reason. And the explanation is very simple. It's terror. Simply terror, to force us to make concessions. This is the only explanation. Because there is no success at the front. Your greatest success in Bakhmut, a city that has already been completely destroyed. And on the ruin, the Russians themselves are already walking on the corpses of Russians. The Ukrainian armed forces have simply been bombarded with these corpses, so we simply don't have enough shells and the speed of production of these shells to destroy them all. They are literally crawling over their own corpses. That's the kind of success. Killing 50,000 of their own soldiers outside a city that has no strategic, tactical, or any other interest. That's the kind of success.
Regarding Bakhmut, yes, I've heard about it already. There were people from Bakhmut here too. Well, in Kharkiv, what they were there, they told there too. They told horror stories.
Yes. Kharkiv, in some cities of Kharkiv region, there was the same story. Then we liberated these cities. With one blow. In Kherson, many of your people died. We fought them off, liberated them. They also held this referendum there. Then the Ukrainian armed forces liberated Kherson, and that was it. Russia forgot about the referendum. Well, the meaning is very simple, I can explain it. There really was an attempt to seize Ukraine and bring it to its knees. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, thing didn't work out. Now there is an attempt to at least somehow preserve Putin's authority. At least somehow justify your actions, and at least something, at least some success. You need to justify it with something. Actually, they tell you about the defense of Donetsk and Lugansk, but everything that was needed for your pseudo-defense, even according to your manual or according to your version, that was needed to protect Donetsk and Lugansk, it was necessary to simply capture Donetsk and Lugansk. That would have been quite enough.
Well, that would be adequate.
Well, it is actually under your control. Bring in your 200,000 strong regular army group, and that's it. There wouldn't have been any military action there anyway. That's all. You wanted to protect them, so that's how you could have protected them. What do Kiev, Chernihiv, Kharkiv, and other cities have to do with this? Why are missiles flying all over Ukraine? Did you have chance to dying?
Yes, I think there were. There is always a chance of dying because these are military operations. Anything can happen at any moment.
Yes. If you died, what would you die for?
What if I died?
Well, why would you die?
I would have died fulfilling my military duty to the country. That's what the country asked me to do, and I went.
Did you think your country needed this?
If the war has started, then it is necessary.
Would you repeat this section again?
Go to combat operations again?
No, I mean if you knew everything in advance.
Besides being exchanged and sent back again, or do you mean,
No, I mean if you knew in advance, only you don't know the ending. Whether you'll die or get captured, you don't know. But you know everything that's going on in Ukraine. Would you go? Again.
So, I came because I saw on TV here that fighting has been going on for a long time.
Yes. And if you are now returned to Russia and told to go to Ukraine again, will you go again?
I would like to stay at home and see my family.
But this, perhaps your homeland did not foresee this. Perhaps the motherland will tell you again that you are a soldier and must fight. Okay, spend a week with your wife, your child, your mom, your dad, and then go again. Are you going again?
Honestly, it's a tough question, but I don't think we'll be sent there again. I heard that they don't send people here after captivity.
But you are now
I think that
wishful thinking. You don't know for sure, but you're evading the question by trying to say that you definitely won't be sent here. You can't be sent here again. And I would like to understand, will you go to fight against us again? Because theoretically this could happen. And it has happened before. Maybe not in your case, but let's say it happened to you. You return from captivity, you're home, and then a month later, for example, you're ordered to gather again. The SMO continues and the motherland calls.
if they send...
Yeah, they do. You're a soldier.
I don't know about that, honestly. They might not send me, they might assign me to serve somewhere in the rear. Regularly speaking, who knows?
The problem is that you answered the first question unequivocally. You said, yeah, the motherland called, I would die because the motherland called me. And here you start going through different options.
I would go if I were to answer the question specifically. I would go.
That is, you came back, spend a week with your wife, with your child, and you are sent here. And you go again because your motherland sends you. This is fair.
Yes.
Based on your position.
Yes.
Well, that's it. No questions. What else can be said? Why did they invade Ukraine? Explain why it is good for Russian soldiers. Why should a Russian soldier carry out crime orders? Or do you not consider an unjustified invasion of a foreign country to be criminal?
So what we were ordered to do is a crime?
What do you think?
There is always some reason. The state cannot just start something.
So tell me the reason. You're not stupid.
I would like to help Donetsk and Lugansk.
And how is assistance to Donetsk and Lugansk associated with the presence of Russian troops, the Russian contingent on other regions of Ukraine?
Then this question can be asked to our authorities and headquarters.
No, I'm talking to you.
We do what we are told.
Is it possible to assume that you were told a lie?
As I remember, the heads of the DPR and LPR officially asked for help. We have arrived, that's all.
I tell you, they would help the DPR and LPR even if we proceed from this completely stupid version. Well, they would have entered the LPR and DPR then, since they asked. What does Zaporozhye and Kherson have to do with it? Was there someone they're asking for protection to?
I don't know that anymore.
Occupation of the nuclear power plant in Energodar. In Energodar, did any ask to occupy the nuclear power plant?
So maybe plans have changed somewhere, I don't know.
I ask, are these plans smart, stupid? How do you rate them? Criminal or not? How do you rate them?
I can't answer this question.
Do you know why? You're afraid. You're afraid. You will have to return to Russia. You're afraid that you will answer as you think and then you will return. And they will ask you, why did you discredit our SMO? Right?
I did not discredit.
Not yet.
So I want to go to Russia.
Of course you want to. You want to go home. Then you will come, spend a week with your relatives, then they will tell you, go to Lviv and protect them, they eat babies there. I explained where this myth comes from. I can show you 10 videos like this in a row with such statements. And we just started laughing at this.
It really sounded absurd.
This is absurdity continued with memes from the Ukrainian side. There is everything there. So, some woman might take a doll, put it in a saucepan, cover it, take a photo and sign that she's cooking Russian's baby. This is as absurd as this.
Absolutely.
Only one absurdity gives birth to another absurdity. It's absurd to say that a boy was caught in the underwear and crucified in the city center by Ukrainians. Everything they say on Russian television about Ukraine is complete and utter nonsense. It's just that it exists more obvious, less obvious, and otherwise it's all absurd, really.